citizens rep of the Arlington County Trespass Towing Advisory Board. To my right is Al Leach. To my left is Detective Jim Toomey. And we are your 3 members of the board. So tonight we have pretty full agenda. And let's see. Do we also want to introduce staff? Caitlin Thomas is here. Is there any other staff that's in attendance tonight? Okay. Okay, first order of business is to review the minutes.
I'm sorry, David, we have Dr. Aaron Miller here, and we have Officer Velez with the police department as well.
Oh, okay. Welcome. We're going to start by reviewing. Does everybody have copies out there, Caitlin? So people should have copies of the minutes from the last meeting. We covered a lot at the last meeting, so I was going to do just a quick summary. Actually, I'm going to even go back to the June 4th meeting because those are documented in the minutes as well. And in the June meeting, we adopted the 48-hour notice rule. And what that means is no tow for a 48-hour grace period in multifamily properties for a vehicle that has an expired registration or inspection sticker. At the June meeting, we also approved the $20 fuel charge, which would then expire in July of 2025. At the August meeting, we spent a lot of time talking and reviewing sections 14.312 permits and 14.313 appeal process. And it's still, I know there's still concerns around those topics. So I'm going to encourage people in the public comment portion of the meeting tonight to talk to concerns you might have around the permitting process and or the appeal process. We also had a new business item at the last meeting where we talked about storage rules. The current rule being the vehicle must be stored within 3.25 miles of the county line boundary. There was some discussion that we might want to do that differently, but at the end we tabled that. So nothing has changed on storage. That's a pretty good summary of the meeting from August 12th. And I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting. Second, we approved. Okay, next item of business number 3 is approving the agenda for tonight's meeting. We've covered the first 2 topics, introduction and review of the August 2024 minutes. The rest of this agenda tonight will be to review additional updates to the proposed ordinance changes. Then we will have a public comment period. And then the TTAB, the advisory board, will vote on additional recommendations that then would go to the county board for the next steps. And then we will adjourn. So let's, I guess what I'd like to do first, before we do the public comment, again, I want to make sure everybody has the changes from last time. Does everybody have a copy of those? Okay, it's anything in green has already been approved by this advisory board. Anything in red represents a change from last time. So let's take a few minutes and just go page by page as to the changes from last time. Page 4, this you can look at the bottom, page 14.3-1. So page 1, no changes. Again, this is from last time. Page 2, and Caitlin, if I think I'm reading the colors right. The only change on page 2 is the submit payment at the top of the page.
Smart payment.
Oh, smart payment. Sorry. Smart payment. So I'll go kind of slow, look through those. We'll kind of go through these together. If anything jumps out at you, you could also address those during the public comment period. And again, I think the smart payment is just another, it's more just a definition. It is a definition. Page 3, no changes. Page 4, there's a red line and a cross out followed by a slightly reconfigured language. This is all related to operator and driver requirements and standards of practice. I'm going to just ask my two friends here on the board if you all see anything that you think rises to just us discussing. Please chime in.
Yeah, I believe this is in, this is going to be addressing the second signature portion of the towing ordinance, which would require a second signature before the tow companies can tow out of the lot.
And that'll come later, right? That's addressed later in this also, or so such written authorization, if required, shall be in addition to any written contract.
Correct. I believe the strike through is the prior strike through, the prior code said that they don't need that authorization. They don't need that second signature. The strike through is saying that they are going to be required to have such written authorization. So the second signature,
All right.
as proposed by this year's legislation.
Okay, so that's something, again, if you all want to comment on, we'll have an opportunity during public comment. And then page 5, there's a whole strikeout of a paragraph. So
Once again, it's going to be for the second, excuse me, can't talk. It's going to be for the second signature part.
okay. And then further down on page 5, a couple requirements associated with the tow truck, lettering and placard, display of placard and other information.
Correct. I believe the lettering signage requirement on the truck is just to make it a standard. So
Right.
it's not hidden on the truck or not put somewhere inconspicuous, so the public knows who's towing their vehicle. And the number 10, to meet all safety standards. We're just putting that as prior to leaving the property, which is already in state code. We're just codifying it here in the county ordinance. And the placards, which are it already was in the county code, that any tow truck operating in the county needs to have a rate placard sticker on their vehicle. This is just once again codifying that here in the code.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Okay, moving on to page 6. And then again, when you see the green typeset, that's stuff we've already approved, we've already covered. At the bottom of page 6, notice section 3-6, notice to the county of trespass tow. Just a clarification on how to communicate within the 10 minutes. Page 7. again, these are all various requirements. So this is of the tow company. Oh, and this would be the name and address, telephone number of the individual entity who signed the trespass towing contract. Okay, I know that's something that some of you are interested in. So I'm going to just say these are any ordinance that ultimately goes before the county board has to have a advertising period. And I've said it at a number of meetings. It's real important for all you who feel like you're going to be affected by some of these ordinance changes to make sure you, once that public notice is put out announcing these changes, because they haven't been announced officially yet, but when they are announced in a public, and you, what is it, public comments usually 30 days to respond?
We have it will be a request to advertise
Right.
in October. And then the following month, at a minimum of 30 days, the following month, the ordinance will be up for consideration by the county board to be adopted.
Okay.
So it's going, the minimum it would be the November meeting.
Okay. But the public advertisement would come out. How does the public, how does all the people who might be affected by this get, what
The
should they be?
noticing, right? Is that what you're getting, the notice?
Yeah, where should they be looking for this public advertising?
We post in the Washington Times. We send out many electronic newsletters. There's physical posting requirements in the building, and there is adequate notice on the website, and it has to be 3 business days before it is heard. But we try to make sure, and that's the minimum, but we always try to go above and beyond and make sure everyone's aware.
Okay. And and the way that if I have a concern, or if one of the companies has a concern, they should respond in writing to this request, this public notice, and they'll have then those get reviewed at the county level. And
Yes, I mean, any call, email, however you want to communicate. But yes, those will go into the record. They will be given to the county board members for review. And yes, it will be entered into the record. So email is pretty easy.
okay. Okay. And again, I encourage you all, that process is really important, because I know there's stuff that's a big change. And if it's a big change and it's going to affect your business, same for consumers. I mean, anybody can respond during the public comment period, but if there's a big change that you're concerned about, take ownership of it and express your concern in writing. That's how this process works, and that's how concerns hopefully get addressed. Okay, page 8. We are now on to the section of storage facilities. There's one addition, letter E.
Most of these things are already in state code. We're just putting it into the ordinance to
Okay. Yep.
keep everything consistent.
Good.
We're asking.
All right. 9, small change on a fee from $35 to $30. The fuel surcharge, again, that's in green, so that's already been recommended by this advisory board to the county board.
And down at the bottom is the raising the in lieu of towing or drop fee from $10 to $20.
Okay. I had a consumer question about that. If I'm in that situation and I don't have a $20, they would accept my credit card in that scenario?
We have to accept credit cards by law.
Okay, so you have the reader in the truck?
Yes.
Okay.
I do believe also in somewhere in the code where we trying to keep pace with technological advances, especially when it comes to payment options. I believe there's also one for any electronic payment. So like if the
Okay.
tow company wanted to use Venmo or all those other
okay.
cash payment options, it's here in the code so that they could decide to use that if they choose to. So I believe that's also addressed here.
Okay, great. Page 10. Just a clarification on video or photographs taken at the time of the tow. Page 11. So this is what we spent a lot of time talking about last time, and you'll actually see a consistent change throughout. County manager or his designee is now crossed out.
Yeah, I believe they just to clean up the language a little bit, they crossed out the designee.
Okay,
I know that was a little bit of a sticking point on
right.
the last meeting, so.
Yeah. We did spend a lot of time in your public comments addressed letter B8, and I know that's a concern for some of you out there as to some of the documentation you're required to provide. And again, I'm just going to say if that is a concern, you need to make sure you make your voice heard during this period of public advertising. Continuing on to page 12. There is a new clause here that you see both under suspension and revocation of a license or a permit, and that's a demonstrated pattern of non-compliance.
I believe that's added to help with the clarification of it's not going to be the very first time you tow. I believe the example last meeting was the county manager's car got towed. You're not going to get suspended if you tow the county manager's car unless you've demonstrated a pattern of non-compliance in the tow. So I think that I think that was important add to
Okay.
help give clarification as to the suspension and the revocation. It needs to be a documented non-compliance, a documented, issue.
Right. Okay, well, that goes through, and then the final page, well, page 13 was we discussed last time, and then there's a little carryover onto page 14. What I want to do now is just have the three of us continue the conversation. Al, I'm curious as you kind of go through that, items that might stick out to you kind of from the tower's perspective, if there's something that strikes you that the three of us can chat in this public forum.
I still, like I said,
Oh, wait.
sorry. As we talked to last time, I talked to two attorneys. One's Chap Peterson that's done a lot of work in Arlington. And the other one's Mark Gicio about the county manager or his designee, which they took away designee, having the right to suspend your license. And I was just wondering from the county, did they do that with any other business? The cabs or any other towing company? Because I don't know of any other business that the county manager has the right to put out of business or to suspend. I thought that's what we have the court systems for.
We can actually suspend for taxi cab drivers who get, reckless driving ticket for.
You can suspend the driver,
We can suspend the driver.
not the
and
company.
Not,
Correct.
well, yeah, no, we're not suspending the company unless the company has showed disregard for, they constantly are doing the same thing, then we can do the
Right.
same. There's a procedure where we can do the same thing, where we can close it down until they're compliant with whatever. They have dangerous cabs out that they know they have dangerous cabs driving the street. We can temporarily put a stop to it till they fix it. And the food vendors the same way. If they come out, they're not permitted, they're violating the county code. We can shut them down. If they're selling food out of their car and not out of the proper storage stuff, we shut them down. So that would be one of the things that we can do. And then, yeah. So there are some avenues the county has to be able to suspend it, or to suspend a business such as, towing taxis or taxis and vending, for violations, for constant violations, for being unsafe, and not getting their proper permits and stuff and such.
I just feel that's why we have the court system. I think it's unconstitutional. I know the owners of both cab companies because we towed for them for 40 years, and I don't think they've ever been suspended. I know, of course, a few of their drivers have for overcharging or turn their meters off and stuff like that. And I just think, there has to be a better process than the county manager, one person just saying, okay, you're suspended until we figure this out, or you're suspended. I can see giving our drivers a ticket. I can see suspending our drivers from doing impounds. But I just don't think the way that it's worded is fair to suspend the whole company, because when you spend the companies, everybody's out of a job, even the drivers that didn't do anything wrong, or, we're, like we talked about earlier, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. Just like Fairfax, they have a complaint system. We have to answer it within 72 hours. We answer it. The person at Consumer Affairs says yay or nay, you were in the right, you were the wrong, refund the money. We do it. And there's no issues. And I think if we did it that way or tabled it, now that the SCC is coming out with some new regulations and they're doing a study with me and 5 other larger companies, I just I don't feel right. And from my attorneys, I don't know, the Arlington County attorney says they can do it. My attorney says they can't. So I'm not an attorney, but that's what I believe.
So, the hat I put on first and why I volunteered to be on this advisory board is from the perspective of a consumer, someone who could be towed. So for me, and again, I think I'm talking on behalf of, thousands of consumers, maybe tens of thousands of consumers. We just don't want to be towed arbitrarily. We don't want to be spied on and have our car gone in a flash. With that said, and I'll also say we want some kind of process to identify. We want there to be a process to identify a bad tow, so that if I was towed in a way that wasn't ethical, that I can get reimbursed. As a consumer, that's what I want. And that's what I speak on behalf of probably lots of consumers. At the same time, in this role as chair, I think it has to be fair to the towers, and there can't be a perception or a reality that someone's trying to get you. And so I just want to go through this because suspension is what you brought up. So where does this potentially fail? The county manager may suspend a permit for a period of 1 to 60 days until proof of compliance is provided to the satisfaction of the county manager. Now it does say, or his designee at that point. I don't know if that's something that should be crossed out there.
Should be taken.
for any of the following reasons, but not limited to. So this is how you could be suspended. Number one, operating a tow vehicle that fails to meet federal, state, and local codes. Seems fair, right? Or well, let me just go through them. I'm not trying to make a case. I just want to understand where the concern might be. You could also be suspended for any violations of this section which regulate conduct, reporting, and record keeping. You could be suspended for denial of an application for a locality permit. You could be suspended for failure to maintain storage sites and/or operations in a good order and repair. You could be suspended for failure to pay all fees and taxes. You could be suspended, number 6, for failure to maintain proper insurance. You could be suspended, number 7, valid consumer complaints regarding trespass towing operation. See, I kind of like that. I mean, I think, if I feel like, again, from a consumer's, if a lot of consumers are complaining about a way, the way a company conducts business, that says something. So I think that seems like it's a good consumer protection. Number 8, you can be suspended for failure to comply with duly executed compliant investigation by the county manager. Or number 9, you could be suspended for a demonstrated pattern of noncompliance with this chapter. So is this unreasonable? I mean, we've talked a lot about Fairfax County. Is this aligned with how Fairfax County?
Yes, except for the last item, number 9, a demonstrated pattern of noncompliance. And it's also a little different in that their structure, they have a consumer department and we do not. So that's why we had to use the county manager and the county board. But this is very, very, very closely aligned with theirs. And I just wanted to remind everyone that everything in green was approved last time, and the items in red are the ones that are presented new tonight. Just wanted to make sure that was highlighted.
And I think and again, so 2 things. One, and we did approve it, but number 9 is new, so that actually would be totally open for discussion. But I still say, from a tower's perspective, if suspension is one of the concerns about the new ordinance, I encourage you to say in writing, I'm making this up, number 4 and number 8 really concern me as a tower. That's the kind of feedback and objection that you all have to make if there's something about this ordinance that's just you're concerned about, or if you're concerned that it all lies with the county manager. That could be something that you could raise as a concern, that there needs to be something that speaks to more, that gives you the ability to challenge a suspension. Now, I do believe you do have the ability to challenge, and that would be on the next page, appeal. So I would say that's a really important section for you all out there who are operating towing companies, understanding if you're suspended, what you're able to do to appeal that process. And does this give you the protections you need as a tower to push back if you've been suspended?
Don't you think, to be fair, before you suspend it, you have an appeal process and then suspension? You should hear our side of the story.
I believe that's actually in the appeals. There is you get a letter, I believe, I forget what the exact code says, but basically you're informed in writing that your license is going to be suspended or revocated, then the appeal, and then once the appeal is upheld, then the suspension will take place. It's not like an immediate suspension. It goes, we're following Fairfax County's format for this, and Fairfax County's, they send a letter saying, hey, you're gonna get suspended. You write your appeal, they do the appeal hearing. Once the appeal hearing is met, or however they do it over there, then the license is suspended. And like you said last meeting, Al, Fairfax doesn't use this. They have it on the books, but they don't use it because they get compliance. And I believe that's going to happen here in Arlington County. I think that we have it on the books if we need it, but I believe that we're going to get the consumer protections and the tower protections that both the businesses and the citizens need to make everybody feel like what happened was what needed to happen.
Well, and then under letter A, this is page 13, appeal, any party aggrieved by a suspension of the operator's permit may appeal the decision within 30 calendar days. So if you are to be suspended, you'll be notified, I guess, in mail, or you'll be notified you are subject to suspension.
Where does, maybe I'm reading it wrong. Where does it say that there's an appeal process before suspension?
Well, this is it. If you have been targeted for suspension, it will not go into effect. You have 30 days to challenge that. So under letter A, within 30 days after the receipt of the notice of suspension, so you can appeal that suspension. You have 30 days to appeal that suspension. Well, section A says that also.
Section I and K. Or J.
Oh, okay, this is how it'll work under I, a letter of determination. So that's it, but that's after you've appealed. So you've appealed, and then a letter of determination will be issued to you within 30 days of so if you appealed 15 days after, you can continue operating your business, and then the county will get back to you within 30 days to say whether your appeal was granted or not. So there is a due process that you will not just, it's not a unilateral decision that you are suspended. You definitely have rights in that.
Also under I, it says the suspension shall be effective from the date of the county board's letter of determination. So once the county board has made their determination, that's when the suspension will go into effect. So like I said, I think this portion of it, the suspension revocation, is going to be treated very much like Fairfax is. It's there just in case we need it to address a predatory company that may operate in the county. And we can address those type of companies. I don't think it'll be used as, it's not going to be used as a tool to target companies. It's not going to be used as a tool to go after somebody. I think this is just going to be a tool to be able to address the citizen concerns when it comes to a rogue tow company that comes in and operates in the county. And gives us the means to address that so that we can handle it from a county side and an enforcement side.
Not sure if that's still, you want to digest that a little bit.
Yeah, I see it. I just, and I'll say again, I've been on the board, 3 or 4 out of the last 20 years, and we've done all this paper, we've done all that, and we go to the board and the board throws it in the window and tells us what they're going to do. So it's kind of frustrating on this end. And you've been there, detective. So, you know, all the hard work we do and all the discussion and all the things that we try to mirror the things that work with other counties. To be honest with you, they haven't, you know, there's a vendetta with one of the companies here and it's fallen down on the rest of the towers. There's a reason why I only do 0.5% in Arlington County. One is because I don't want to deal with the politics. Two is because of the price. And if they change that, you know, I have one of the only 3 or 4 lots in the county, you know, in the county radius. So I just wanted to state that, be obvious.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, this whole, I mean, that I still call it a gotcha. If this is all about getting you, then I actually wouldn't be, I don't think it would be appropriate. If it's a gotcha, I mean, I'm reading it as, again, like I said, first as a consumer, but then as someone who's got a responsibility to not just to advise to the county, not wanting to throw you under the bus. And I feel like there's protections for you. And if it is about gotcha, at least I don't see it in the writing. Now, if the way someone implements this and all of a sudden it becomes a gotcha, then that's a problem. But I don't think that's the intent here.
Well, I hope not in a perfect world, but the county manager is the one that has all the say. So, you know, there should be a court appeals process. There should be a board appeals process, not just one person. You know, we all sit on the board. It should be a vote, you know, okay. You know, Al's Towing messed up 30 times. They're towing cars illegally. Their trucks are junk. They're not they're not giving the right paperwork. They're not calling the cars in. Get me off the list. But I just think it should not, I don't think the county manager should have all the power. And I think it should be the board maybe, you know, or, you know, it should be 3 people.
I also see a role for this board in the appeal process. Letter B, appeals must be in writing, set out fully the grounds of an appeal, signed by who's appealing, and be filed with the staff coordinator to the Trespass Towing Advisory Board. Is that you, Caitlin? So if this board is operating the way it's supposed to, I would feel like if there ever is a rogue suspension, where, you know, in your example, Al, where the county manager, you felt had a vendetta against a towing company, I think that we would see it as an advisory board. So this isn't going to be an undercover activity. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of transparency here where we still continue as a board to have a role in any kind of suspension that could happen. And I think, you know, if we're, you know, if we're, you know, doing our jobs as board members, we're not going to, it's not just you who would be against rogue suspension of a towing company. I think Jim and I would both, and there might be another Jim and Dave, you know, 3 years from now. Hopefully there is. But, you know, hopefully those are responsible people on the advisory board that say, you know, this doesn't pass. This isn't cool. This is, because I think we've established that, you know, since I've been on this advisory board, that the towing companies play a really important role in this whole county landscape where, you know, no one loves the towing company, but I think there's been you know, just the fact that we recognized that the 135 was not covering costs, and we approved the 150. And I think that was a statement to say, you know, you all are running businesses and we need you in the county and we need you to be healthy companies. And so we support you. And I think that's, again, consumers are never going to be thrilled with what you all are doing, but I do think we get it. We just don't want to be subject to tows that make our skin curl. And, that does happen. I mean, all you have to do is look at the next door application and, once a month you'll see a tow that someone shares a story that, we might embellish it, but every tow isn't perfect. So they're just from a consumer perspective, again, we just need to have the protections as consumers, and you all need to have the, what you need to conduct your businesses. So this could be a win for everybody. That's the goal, is for it to be win-win.
Well, there's two sides to every story when you get towed too, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's why the consumer affairs in Fairfax County and other counties work, because there's a format, we answer it, consumer affairs investigates it, and he makes his decision. I just really feel uncomfortable that one person a company can put me out of business, can put Bill Munzer, it can put anybody. I think maybe if we could word it where it came through the board first, which would be, us, and then go to the county, and then go to the county chairman or whatever his name is. But I just can't see that one person said, well, Al's towed me when I was going to get a pie and I walked the street, but I was coming back to CVS. I'm going to suspend him. And, he has all the power that, I think there's got to be a court. There's got to be another appeals hearing from us. That's our job. That's why we sit on this board to make those decisions, not just one person. And, if we could put that language in where, we voted on it or we fixed the problem, we didn't, and then it went to him, I'd feel a lot better than just having one person be the almighty God when it comes to towing.
Well, and I think that would be, and again, what I'm going to encourage you all to do, I think that falls under letter C. Each eligible appeal is impartially reviewed for completeness by staff coordinator in collaboration with county manager's office. Now, if you all think that there's the trespass, that this advisory board should somehow be engaged in an action like this,
Appeal process.
I mean, that's something that, again, be specific in your comments. And I don't know how comments are reviewed, what the process is for reviewing comments.
I mean, you could propose anything tonight and you all could vote on any addition or change to this. So you could write in whatever you want.
We can make a motion and then correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was curious about how, if during the public advertising period again, if someone wrote that as a comment during the public advertising period, who reviews those comments that come in during that period?
Like the members of, like, just the public that writes
Yeah,
in?
when the public has comments.
I mean, yeah, that comes to the county manager's office. It goes to the county board's office. It goes to all members for review. And all the comments are also become part of the record, and they are posted online and they're kept in our records. So,
But if they think, if that body likes or thinks that's a good comment and they want to incorporate it, they'll do it, right? And then they'll have a revised ordinance. The ordinance could still be revised based on comments that come in. Or is that, that's my question?
Well, the charge of the TTAB is that the towing ordinance has to be reviewed by TTAB, and TTAB has to provide recommendations and review the ordinance before it goes to the county board. So any additions will have to come through you all first. Whether or not what the outcome is the outcome, but you do have to review any changes before it goes to the board.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah.
So during the appeal process, they struck out county manager or his designee. If we add back or his designee, that designee could be the TTAB. So the appeal would not go to the county, would be a decision of the county manager or his designee. And we add that back, we could add, and instead of saying designee, it can be county manager
Or TTAB.
or TTAB.
I would agree with that, and I would make, I think both sides feel more comfortable.
Okay, so and so the motion would be for 14.3-11 appeal section, the crossed out designee sections would be replaced with TTAB.
How many?
Correct?
I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. So the motion, Caitlin, was for section 14.3-13, the appeal section, where the crossed out designee line would be to change that to the appeal decision of the county manager, comma, TTAB for this board. So we can,
The appeal section?
yeah, under, 14.3-13 appeal.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So it'd be.
Letter A, so all of the county
All the
managers
county-
be changed to
yeah.
TTAB?
Yeah, so where you struck out all the designee,
Okay.
change that to trespass towing advisory board.
So let's so any party aggrieved by, well, suspension, of course, may appeal the decision. So the county manager still made the decision.
It'd be the county manager or TTAB, or we can,
I would think, I mean, I think it would be TTAB to make recommendations to the county manager. Would that be? That would, because we're the ones that are sitting here doing all the work, and I think we can meet and we can make recommendations to the county manager, and then he's going to make his own decision. Because you're living it every day, I'm living it every day. I don't think if we just put county manager or TTAB or county manager and TTAB.
I think it would be county manager and TTAB,
Okay.
because then it would have to be both.
But it's not the decision that we're not making, the TTAB's not making the decision.
We would make a recommendation.
But so previously, the suspension happened over here. The county manager said, you're suspended. Now he's appealing.
Correct.
So what do we want to have happen? We want to be involved in that appeal process because
Well,
right.
that's the question, right? If you want a body made up of the parties that are going to be involved, the towers, the public, and the county side are all represented here on this board. I don't know, it wouldn't be a decision. This TTAB doesn't have the ability to make decisions, but it would have the ability to make a recommendation to the county manager, who's going to ultimately make the decision whether or not to follow the TTAB recommendation for the suspension or revocation.
So we're going to let the county manager make the decision.
We're just making, kind of like.
Well, so we get it after the county manager's made the decision. We still are,
Yeah, this is-
it passes through us.
Yeah, for the appeal. For the appeal. The
So-
county manager's already made the decision to, or the county has already made the decision to suspend or revocate a license. The company is now appealing it. That appeal would come to us for our recommendation to go to the county manager, which would stay within our charge, because under our charge, we make recommendations to the county manager, the county board. Therefore, we're not superseding our charge as a advisory board. We're still staying within the guidelines of our advisory board rules and regulations.
Well, I don't think it's under A though, that it would change. I think it might be under C. Each eligible appeal is impartially reviewed by completeness by the staff coordinator in collaboration with a representative from the county manager's office and in coordination with the TTAB.
I think that would work. I
Wouldn't it
think
be
that would
under-
work.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it would be under C. Yep,
Right.
yep, I'm sorry. Yep, it's under C.
So at least,
Yep.
you'll see it. You'll be able to, and it might, we can't override it, but if it's so egregious and, again, reasonable people say, boy, that was really the county manager got his car towed and he just had an axe to grind with someone. I mean, it just puts another set of eyes on it.
Yeah, puts an independent body per se, eyes on it. Yeah, I like that. I think that would be a add-on. Not sure if you got that. all
Make a
clear.
motion or then.
So the motion, well, let's make sure we got the language before or do you have it? Do you want to read it as? Each eligible appeal is impartially reviewed for completeness by the staff coordinator in collaboration with the representative from the county manager's office, comma, and in coordination, not coordination.
Recommendation.
I think it would be each eligible appeal is impartially reviewed for completeness by the staff coordinator in collaboration with the representative of the county manager's office or a recommendation from the Trespass Towing Advisory Board. As therefore, because that, I think C is just saying they're reviewing the entire application packet for all the required information that's required for the appeal. Then that, all that required information comes to the TTAB for review for a recommendation.
And then, well, maybe it should just be a new sentence.
Might just have to be a new, might have to, yeah.
After review by the staff coordinator and the county manager's office, the appeal is presented to the TTAB for recommendation.
I think it might flow easier if we make it a new point. So like, let's say point N. And just say the Trespass Towing Advisory Board will review all appeals to send a recommendation to the county manager's office.
So at what point should it be? Because we want to have it in the right, so letter D, upon filing complete appeal, the county board's note is notified.
I mean, the problem is under G, the appeal shall have the right to present their case in person at a designated meeting of the county board. So it actually goes to the county board under G. So I don't know, do we?
We should see it earlier, don't you think, before it goes to the county board?
For the county board so that we can send our recommendation, because then our recommendation wouldn't go to the county manager, it would go to the county board under G. So we would send, like we're doing here with this ordinance review, it would send our recommendation for that status directly to the county.
So something right after C.
Yeah, so it'd have to go probably under, it'd have to go between B and C.
Between B and C or between C and D?
Appeals must be in writing, set of fully grounds of the appeal signed by the appellant, legal representative of the appellant, filed with the staff coordinator of Trespass Towing Advisory Board. And then I would put it under there and say that the Trespass Towing Advisory Board will then meet within, 7 days or 10 days of receipt of the appeal to make their recommendation to the county.
Okay. The appeals must be in writing.
Because we're gonna have to squeeze our meeting in between that 30 days. So it's gonna have to be a quick.
Right. So hopefully no one ever gets
Yeah.
suspended.
That just seems it would make it more fair to
Yeah.
both sides.
Plus, I think it keeps the TTAB with the charge that we're set with, which is an advisory board to the county board. And I believe that this, us just sending them a recommendation, just like they do with, when we do this kind of review of the county code, they can listen to our recommendation or they can't, or they don't have to, they're not bound to our recommendation. But like you said, I believe that when you have all the parties involved, agreeing to something or reviewing something, I think it gives it a little bit more weight when it goes to the county board.
I still think we should be after C, because then in C, the appeal is impartially reviewed by the staff coordinator with the county manager's office. And at that point then, so the new letter D would be the TTAB will review the appeal
Within 7 to 10 days.
within 7 to 10 days to provide additional recommendations.
You can say, or to provide a recommendation.
To
the county.
provide a recommendation to
To
the
the
county board. Okay, so we have a motion to add a new letter D that says the TTAB will review the appeal and make a recommendation to the county board
But within 7 to 10 days
within 7 to 10 days
of the appeal file.
of the appeal. Well, within receiving the appeal. Did you get that, Caitlin?
The Trespass Towing Advisory Board will review the appeal and make a recommendation to the county board within 7 to 10 days of receiving the appeal. And
So that's the motion to add a new letter D.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, approved.
I think that'll help out with the suspension and revocation.
Yeah, gives you that extra layer.
Chair, can we actually take a break and relocate to room 311? Would that be okay with you?
Nah, I've already been in 311.
Okay,
It's still warm.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah,
thank you.
okay. All right, so we're adjourned for 5 minutes. And we'll move to 311.
There's nothing free.
I unmuted it.
We are re-adjourned. And we've, I think we talked through a very productive change. We've passed the motion to include that new letter D as part of the appeal process. And we are now going to move on to the public comment period. So we don't have you had one more comment.
One more thing I'd like to vote on or talk about voting on, in 14.3-9. It's where the county is going to do the raise to the state rates. They put the price in there.
150?
Right, to the 150.
Yep.
I would like it to scratch the 150 and put on there, just the county will follow state rates. And here's my reasoning, because we're always 4 years behind whatever the state does. We're always fighting for the $15 and $20 raise for 4 years. And I believe the SCC is going to take care of this anyways, but I'd like to put it in there that Arlington County will follow the state. Because that's what every other county does. Fairfax, Prince William. That's why we have the legislative down there to make the rates.
Oh. Okay. See.
So the motion would be to change the maximum fee shall be set at the current state rate.
At the current state rate, yes.
I think I just need a little more history of, I know how often the state rate has changed.
I started back in 1985, Arlington County, and it was a gentleman, George King. Long story short, they had the same issues. He was the biggest tower. And the county was just trying to starve them out. $15, we run a 24-hour business. Most people make their living in an 8, 10-hour, 12-hour business. That $15, believe it or not, means a lot to a tower when you're doing 11,000 tows a year like some of them. So you can do the math. Arlington, if the state would put it at it was 135. Arlington would keep it at 115. Always, and then we'd have to fight with Arlington for 3 or 4 years to get it to the 115 when the state already put it to 150. And then we were always 4 years behind. So if the state's done a lot of study, the SEC has done a lot of study. They picked 5 of the bigger companies now, and the state is going to do the rates. And I believe they're going to cover this. They're not going to give I believe it. I'm not 100%. That's why I want to put this in, that the SEC is going to put it statewide, which I don't think is fair either, because the cost of living here is so high compared to Roanoke and Harrisonburg and some other places. So if we just scratch, Arlington County's given us the 150, I think Arlington County should follow the state rate recommendations.
What does, do we know what Fairfax does?
State.
Well, I'm not an attorney and I don't want to speak to that, but if we look at the code of Virginia, we're in planning district 8, so we have a carve out and it's pretty specific to us. So, but when it comes to the entire state, it says no hookup or initial towing fee of any passenger car shall exceed 150. So it doesn't say what, so it's that. So, I mean, again, I'm not an attorney. I would recommend maybe saying something like we defer to the Virginia code when it comes to that. But again, I'm trying to find the carve out for the planning district 8, because it does say there's a minimum of 135 and a maximum of 150. So we can figure out how to word it. I know what you're trying to get at.
Arlington, it says option, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a minimum and max. So it's just saying we have to figure out, and I know what you're trying to say, you don't want, because other jurisdictions do it. So we'll have to figure out a way to, I know what you're getting at. I know what you're trying to say.
I just think we should put on there what the state recommended rates. And then that would save a lot of issues.
And just for the history of the TTAB, when it comes to this, the TTAB has made recommendations unanimous recommendations in the past to increase it to the maximum state rate. Sometimes those recommendations didn't transfer over to the county board's adoption. So I looking at it from, our perspective, which is consumer protection, I think the state rate isn't intrusive to say that they should be, whatever the state sets, I think that should be fine for Arlington County to adopt. Because it isn't generally specific to one locality, it's statewide. So I don't think state rates will ever jump up to like $1,000 a tow. I think they'll keep them relatively, they've kept it at 150 now for almost 5 years.
Correct. It's been 6 years and then they gave us the $20 fuel increase, but that doesn't really help. And just long story short, SCC is doing a study now, like I said, and they sent out a thing, and Fairfax County Consumers Fair has a, what do you call this? Statistician or mathematician, and they did it. They came up with $234 for the tow, not including storage. So that's how far off we are right now.
I can read to you. Okay. So for hours in 46.2-1215, localities in Planning District 8, which is us, and Planning District 16 shall establish by ordinance a hookup and initial towing fee of no less than $135 and no more than the maximum charges provided in 46.2-1233.1, which is $150. And when you go to 46.2-1233.1, it says no hookup and initial towing fee of any passenger car shall exceed $150. So you could take the language specifically from the state code, that one sentence, no hookup or initial towing fee shall exceed $150, and you could cut and paste, and that is exactly from state code. Just trying to see how I'm just trying to help you guys word it.
That's what I'm trying to get the money out of it, because if we vote on the 150 and the county board votes on 150, and then when we come to July and they go to 234, we're going to fight another 4 years to try to get our raise. So if we could just put it.
Entertain the brief from Deputy County Manager for Public Safety. The ordinance.
Sure.
The state legislation requires that we set a rate. We are not allowed to put something like maximum allowable rate under 46.2. We have to actually set the rate. The county attorney is going to tell us that because of the way 46.1233 is worded, exactly what Taylor just read, localities must set a rate. We have to put a dollar amount. I agree with you. I think I would love to be able to say rates established at the maximum allowable under state code. I think what's going to happen is they're going to say we got to put a dollar because of that rate. But if the SEC comes back and says we're setting the statewide rate and removes that power from localities, particularly in 8 and 16, it's all for moot anyways, right? It's going to be dealing with that. So that's just my sort of. That's I think why it's a. But I mean, if you want to make another recommendation,
I feel like I don't really understand the legality of it enough to. I mean, it sounds reasonable, but I feel like I just don't understand. I don't have the history, the legal precedence.
if I were you, I would make a motion that says, I would move that TTAB recommend that the language pursuant to 46.2.1233 state charges shall be set at the maximum allowable rates as outlined in the Code of Virginia. And then make that recommendation. You all can discuss that, and then it'll go up, and the county attorney will have to look at it. So, does that make sense?
I feel like you could say a hookup or towing.
No, just maximum allowable rate to his point.
Right.
Because all of those have a range.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying is that we would want it to be
Right.
always at the maximum of the range.
Right. And again, I mean, that takes from our carve out, we could say no more than maximum charges provided in 46.2. And then so in ours, we could say no more than the max a 46.2-1233, and then whatever's in that section is what we're gonna go off of.
That makes sense? I think that's what.
Exactly. That's what I want to make a motion on.
You said smart.
I try to make it.
Okay, so
Thank
I'm gonna write this. You guys, I'm not.
Well, the motion is what he said, or the motion
Yeah,
is.
but you said you wanted to know more about it.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
Detective said, every year, the county
Yeah,
fights us on.
I sound, again, I'm just cautious as now I'm totally putting on my consumer's hat. And everything I've learned over the past year is that 150, you guys should be reimbursed 150. And I totally support that. I've supported that. I'm cautious of supporting something, another number that I don't even,
It's
No,
the state's number.
yeah.
It's through the state. Like I said, the
How
people in
does it-
Roanoke that's storing farms and storing gas stations are getting more than we are. When my lots, you know how much our lots are, $2 and $3 million. And this lot is $55,000 a month rent.
But how does the state, I don't know how does the state go about setting the rate? Is it, at the legislative level? Is it a regulatory thing?
Legislative.
So they vote, so our delegates, the House of Delegates votes, and the Senate votes, and the governor signs it?
Yes, sir.
What if all of a sudden, I don't know, somehow a bill comes out of the House of Delegates that says, what are these two districts, 12 and
8
Or
and
they-
16.
and it's all of a sudden it differentiates, and says we can do up to $220, and the rest of the state is set at 180. So I mean, there's something could come out of the House of Delegates that could actually be
Right,
a
but
bad number.
right now they're working the CPI index where, you all get raises.
Right.
We haven't. We haven't we talked about it, 2013, 13 years. We haven't. So you do the 4% or it's 3%
Yeah.
for 13 years. I think our 150 would be that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah. So
but
that's
I'm
just a
trying-
little history.
yeah, but I just don't know, what if the House of Delegates comes up with something off the wall that's just unreasonable, and they set a maximum, they all of a sudden say, oh yeah, like you're to your point, it is really expensive here, so we're actually going to create this unique maximum for Arlington and Fairfax and Northern Virginia, and we're gonna have another maximum for the rest of the state. Then
They'll
that,
override us.
Then you would follow what they said.
Yeah, like because if they say we shall, it's either if they give us authority to, or if they tell us to. And if they tell us to, it'll override. So it just depends on what comes out of. Because if they give us authority, then it comes back and then we make the decision here.
Yeah.
But for instance, like the $20 fuel charge, that was a,
State law.
the state, they commanded that. That is the state law that we have to do that. They
right,
did not give us the opinion to add it in.
right.
Whereas the rate is the rate, the county does have the ability to go from 135 to 150.
Right. But I'm just saying, if they set the rate, they give us the authority to go up to 220, let's just say. And 220, just as a consumer now, I'm going, wow, 220 seems high. But we have the authority to go to 220. We would have to go to 220, according to this.
If they change the state to 220.
Right.
according to- If we draft the
Well,
language.
right, but what I'm saying is, yeah, what if they go the state, what if they say, oh, yeah, what if 220 just,
And what if
blows me
they
away
have
as a
it higher
consumer.
than what we have, and it's actually works in not. in
It,
favor.
it does sound expensive, but here's the problem.
yeah,
And you don't own a tow truck. I do.
yeah,
You called a plumber. You've gone out to eat. You know what our bills are these days?
Yeah.
24-hour, our insurance. My insurance is $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
And we've asked the state, we've asked Arlington County to do a study. This gentleman and this gentleman took all our books for 3 years, on all our increases on our fuel, our tow truck, our prices in there, and we gave it to Fairfax County. This was in 2014. Their employer, their bean counter, whatever the economist said, $246, 13 years ago. As soon as I heard that, he was never at another meeting again. So I would love it if we could hire, if we would sponsor it. And then you would know what the cost of business are. We're not, I don't live in a mansion. I'm not a Fortune 500. My drivers finally have 401ks and health insurance, but it took till last year before we could do it.
Well,
So there's two sides to.
no, I, if 150, I don't know, is 150 too low in your?
Way
opinion?
too low, way too low,
Okay.
way too low. It's been that. We have to deal, 150, we have to deal in quantity, not quality.
So maybe I totally believe you. I don't know what the numbers are, but I totally trust you.
Right.
That 150 is low and that the real number should be 246. If all of a sudden the state said 246, I feel that's a huge jump from 150.
That's the state though. That's,
Right, but
not on you. Yeah.
It's not on you,
Exactly.
and I understand you being on the consumer affairs,
yeah,
and that's what I think you should do a ride around with us, and you can gladly come see my equipment and how much I pay in insurance.
Yeah.
And you'll probably vote for the 246 one, and we can only get 150 anyway.
So we have the motion done.
Yeah.
I know you might have some apprehension.
I can abstain.
So how about can we table that portion and we can have another meeting in like 2 months? So we can kind of get everybody up to speed. You can, send us the information so that
So
everybody's up to speed.
When's this getting voted on from the board?
It will be November, the November meeting.
I think we have.
So
Time.
So
we can meet again.
Just vote now.
We have the motion on the
Yeah,
table,
yeah.
so I'll second the motion. And then we can vote on it.
Okay.
So
Okay, so the motion is to change, we're going to 14.3. Hold on. 14.3-9 fees, letter B, number 1. Okay. We are striking the 135, and we are saying that the maximum fee shall be no more than the maximum charges provided for in 46.2-1233.1. That is what the motion, correct?
Correct.
second,
So,
All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? I'm abstaining.
2 in favor, 1 abstain. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, now we can do public comments. So we don't have do we have a clock?
We'll do this, we'll get it done.
Who, get a sense of, who plans to make a public comment? 1, need 2, 3,
You want to do 2, 3, or 5 minutes? Or whatever, I mean, it's just kind of standard,
we'll do,
whatever you want.
we'll do 3 minutes. 3 minutes is okay. You've all been patient, so the next minute, yeah. All right, do we have a protocol for who goes first? Anybody like to go first?
Happy to.
Okay,
Can I sit up here?
yes, please.
My voice is a little hoarse today.
And then, it's gonna be 3 minutes, so I don't know.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna start it.
all right. I'm Mike with A1 Towing. The comments that I'm going to make may be a regurgitation of comments that I've made in prior meetings, and I'm probably going to jump around a little bit. I just want to say, in regard to complaints in general, although that may not be a topic here, it does affect it is a cause for some of the things that are happening. I think I said this in the last meeting, the reaction to complaints in Fairfax, Alexandria, Falls Church, Loudon, Prince William, by those localities, the reaction is completely different to complaints than it is here. Over the past 20 years, we haven't had year after year attempts to re-legislate and in my view, kind of choke property owners and business owners and towers in the process of trying to tow a car. Why that doesn't happen in Prince William and Fairfax and these other jurisdictions, I can't tell you. Maybe it's politics, just the temperature of the this jurisdiction versus the others, but it's noteworthy, being that all of the others, they just don't seem to have this huge problem that results in continuous attempts to re-legislate. Bear with me 1 second. The subject of permitting, again, requiring towers to submit copies of private agreements between businesses, apartments, townhome associations, condominiums, maybe in some cases individual homeowners. Again, I think it's intrusive. I think it's dangerous that that information could be publicly on display through FOIA, even if you have a redaction process. Can be hacked. We see it every week or every other week in the news. There can be leaks of that information. There are also trade secrets that can be exposed, things that our business might be offering some of our customers that we wouldn't want other businesses to see, for competitive reasons. I'll end that on that subject. I want to expand on that. Also, I think what ultimately may be an arbitrary decision that could be politically influenced by the county manager or an appeals process to take a permit. I'm not comfortable with that whole process because I've been part of and I've seen and witnessed the politics influence these things here in Arlington for many years.
30 seconds.
Okay. Again, I think it could be dangerous to citizens to have the second signature requirement. It could be dangerous to the towers, property owners as well. Putting them in a position where somebody would know, okay, there's an individual behind the signature. I'm going to seek out that person. Current process that we have, that's really not a problem. An entity can sign a contract. That's who's authorizing the tow. It does not come back to a single person that I'm going to get that person. So,
thanks. Next. Well, he's going to go next. Yeah, I'm just going around this way.
Enjoy the arrangement. Good evening, everyone. I'm John Busso, the Government Affairs Manager at the Arlington Chamber of Commerce. I wish to ask the members of the TTAB, it's kind of reiterating the letter I shared with you all earlier today. We're asking that please take the draft language that is in section 14.3-5.4 regarding the additional written authorization requirement for towing. We asked that you see that language from the package that we're to vote on later this evening and for consideration of that language until a future meeting. This additional authorization, there's a second signature requirement. This would create a new regulatory burden for property owners and businesses to remove a vehicle from their property. And as noted by Representative A1, this does raise safety concerns by increasing the likelihood of confrontation between business and property management staff and aggrieved vehicle owners. With this in mind, the draft legislation, the language there would have a major impact on Arlington and properties. The other ordinance changes that we've discussed over this evening and at the previous meeting in August and June, they benefited from continued discussion and continued input from stakeholders and those who showed up for public comment. And we asked that the TTAB treat this language in the same manner. The further consideration could also allow for input from businesses, property owners, towers, members of the community to better inform this language and get this language right. We hope that that kind of further discussion deferral would end up improving the draft language. Thank you very much for the consideration.
Hi, I'm Gina Mullins with Advanced Towing. I want to speak on the second signature. Just like everyone else has said, it's puts citizens and property owners in danger. I'm sure you guys read the news a week or two ago. My driver was towing a car, got a gun pulled on him. That's the tow truck driver. So imagine a 60-year-old office manager out signing for a car to be towed. And that same man comes up and catches her. What's going to happen to her? Not safe. Not only that, our contracts specifically say identify and tow for the following reasons. That's our contract. That's our instructions. And for a bill to pass to say otherwise is interfering with our contracts. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Aaron Miller. I'm the Deputy County Manager for Public Safety. I've got police, fire, emergency, and technology services. I specifically want to make sure everybody understands public comment and give you all the opportunities and ways in which you can respond to the proposed ordinance and what TTAB has set forth in recommended. So as was mentioned, TTAB provides a recommendation to the county board, and then the county board adopts the ordinance, makes motions on their own through the normal legislative process. There's a few things that I want to encourage you. One, you heard about this request to advertise the RTA. Normally, not a lot of ordinances are done under an RTA. This one we are doing under an RTA. What does that do? That provides a more extensive public comment and public input period. So at the October board meeting, what you will see is something that reads a little bit along the lines of the following, and it'll be on the consent agenda. I'll talk about that in a second. So I'm going to go kind of quick so I get all this. But the request to advertise will essentially say that the county manager is recommending to the board that the board adopt and authorize a public hearing on this particular ordinance. And then it will summarize the changes that have either been recommended or that are contemplated. So it'll have all these recommendations from TTAB. It'll have in there, the TTAB meetings that were held. It'll note that, these things were voted on and that, and then refer back to the minutes that they have adopted. This is one of the first opportunities for public comment. Items appearing on the consent agenda, which is usually Tuesday evenings, about 6:30 p.m. Items on the consent agenda can be commented on. And if you go to an Arlington County Board agenda, what it'll tell you is how that happens. And I'll summarize it for you. To speak on a consent agenda item listed under public hearing, someone must register online before the first speaker is called. So it can be up until that day. And there's information about that on the county board webpage. And you can have things removed from the consent agenda and pushed out to the regular hearing item agenda. So I want you to sort of go pay attention to that, read that process. So that's one opportunity for public comment, just at the RTA. Following that, as the RTA is out and posted, anyone is able to provide written feedback to the county board. So you can write a letter, you can post it with the clerk, you can email, as Caitlin mentioned, you can send it to the county manager, whatever you'd like to do. We collect all those up, they become part of the official record. Then, as part of the the adoption meeting. So in the RTA, it'll say, hey, the county board intends to take this up at this meeting, which will likely be the November meeting. You can attend the November meeting and as well provide comment right there and watch as the county board does their motions and makes substitutions and changes. For that, I want to make sure everybody knows. The last thing I will say to you is for those that haven't participated, the county board does something called Open Door Mondays. The next Open Door Monday is next Tuesday. Maureen is just telling you this. Maureen is the next board member who will be hosting Open Door Tuesdays. If you would like to participate, you can RSVP in an online form. Just go to arlingtonva.us, Open Door Monday, and it'll have a form for you to fill out for Open Door Mondays. And what is Open Door Monday? Open Door Monday is where any topic can be brought forth to a board member. That board member listens to the constituents, takes those topics, and then sends around notes to all of their colleagues and the county manager and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Registration for Open Door Mondays begins at 9 o'clock on the Tuesday before. So October 7th is the next one. Registration opened on this past Tuesday and closes at 7 p.m. the following Monday. So you've got until 7 p.m. Monday to register for Open Door Monday, put in your name, you'll get an invitation. And I believe, don't quote me on this, it can be done virtually. I think we still have that. I can't remember. I don't myself go to Open Door Mondays, but I think, yeah, you'll receive further instructions and meeting details will be emailed to you. So I would encourage anyone who has comments and wants to submit them. Those are some quick, easy ways in which you can actually get in front of board members, staff members, and make sure that your submissions are part of the official record that you were heard. The final thing I'll say, because I'm probably over time, is why am I involved in this process? Well, both the board and the manager have heard from the community and from our business owners that this is an area that needs attention. So I have been paying particular attention for the last month to the drafting of the ordinance, to this process, to being here to hear your feedback and to making sure as we move forward, both within a policy standpoint, but also in an operational standpoint, that it is much more aligned with what you expect in some of the other jurisdictions. We understand it has been a sticking point. And if I can fix one thing in my life, maybe it'll be time. So anyways.
So the meeting that they're going to vote on will be the November meeting.
The meeting where they will actually do the vote is going to be November. Right. Right. Just so you know. So.
Anything else speaking?
Detective, I have a question for you. Will those still be?
Oh, wait, hold on. I think we can do, we're in the public comment period, but I'm going to make an exception and allow.
I'm sorry.
No, I just want to make sure we.
It's very short.
Form of the meeting. No, yeah, I'm going to allow the question.
Will the police department still have a designated person to investigate a consumer's complaint prior to the county manager revocating our permit or suspending our permit? Like Officer Velez's process now, she reaches out, she gathers information, she makes a determination as to whether we were at fault, the consumer was at fault.
Currently, that is the process that we use. But
will it remain?
He wasn't sure how it fits in with
as
a new.
yeah, as far as I know, it's going. I believe it's going to remain the same, but I'm not sure. I don't know, but I believe it's going to remain. I'm not sure if it's going to change or not.
I think that's an important step.
Or you're talking about the complaint investigation portion.
Yeah, because if the county manager is able to suspend or revoke our permit, is he going to be the one investigating?
I mean, I can only speak to what the current policy is, and the current policy is the police department is tasked with that initial investigation part.
Yeah.
So that's going to stay, as far as I know, currently it is with the police department.
Yeah, I know that as well. I'm just wondering if that's going to continue. I mean, I think that's very important.
There's no plans, there will still be investigations of complaints. There are no plans to stop investigations of complaints.
Did the board vote on that?
Do whatever, yeah, you can vote on.
I mean, I'd love to
The
put on the
complaints will
TTAB to be investigating complaints or making recommendations.
The county, the current policy is the police department is doing it. I believe there could potentially be some restructuring in the future of who's going to investigate it. But currently it is the police department, but there will be somebody investigating all complaints prior to any
Suspension.
suspension or anything. It's not just gonna be, oh, we got one complaint, and,
Yeah.
there's somebody has to verify the complaint is true and accurate and not just an angry, somebody angry and just trying to vent. Understood. So there will be a thorough investigation. So
Well, I just need to ask the question, is that document, is it part of the ordinance? Part of the ordinance.
it should still be in the old part of the ordinance where it says county manager's designee will investigate all complaints.
That's the-
And I think that designee is still the same, that's part of the old code section. So the designee allows the county manager to pick what investigative body is investigating it. But like I said, currently it is the police department. As far as I know, it's this. There's been,
Again, I just need help where we could say that.
If you look in letter G, under the permit section, 14.3-12.
14.3-12.
The permits. It says, looking at letter G, and then you're looking at H. And it says failure to comply with a duly executed complaint investigation by the county manager or designee. It's actually good because I don't believe we have it previously codified. So now it's good that it actually is in the permits. So the language is there. And it says a county manager designee is a very common language across all of our codes. And so it is in there. And so how it works now is county manager designee, and then the police department is the designee.
I'm not trying to be picky about this, but I think you asked for that part to be removed earlier in the big board.
14.3.8.
Yeah, the designate, but. you
Well,
insist
then
on
the
something that
designee
needs
gets-
rationale.
It gets removed in certain places, but it's not removed there.
Right,
The
okay.
places that it's removed, we're gonna go through everything in red. And we'll see where,
Right.
but so if there's any place when we're going through that, that'll be the next part of our discussion. Or anything in red has to be approved. We haven't recommended that yet, so we'll go through that at the end.
the only part where designee was scratched out was during the appeals process.
Okay, on the appeals part.
Yeah, everything else is still says county manager or designee.
We're done.
It allows the county to have the flexibility to adjust to their operational needs.
Great, thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome, sir.
Thanks for clarifying. We still actually have a few more public comments.
And Mr. Chairman, if I'm a stakeholder here, if I have another minute.
You know what, because, actually, I'm gonna say yes, because.
Thank you.
Aaron went over by that.
I appreciate
You have 4 minutes.
John O'Neill with Advanced Towing. Make no mistake, we're all here tonight because of my fight with Arlington over the years. Recent FOIA request from Arlington County, going back 2 years, was received by my attorney, and some very damning stuff in there about me solely. Just for one example, the pass specific legislation against Mr. O'Neill and Advanced Towing so we can put him out of business. That came from somebody in this building that's elected. You said earlier about the people making lots of complaints, and that's what you're here addressing. That FOIA request going back 5 years, 90,000 tows was an average of what was towed by all the towers here in this room, some that aren't here in this room anymore. Out of those 90,000 complaints, 90,000 complaints made, 223 actually made, 90,000 tows, I'm sorry, 223 actually made complaints to the county in 5 years. Out of those 223 complaints, 27 of them were found to be valid. 27 people in 5 years. What's the problem? There is no problem. In 2006, the ordinance that you worked from, which was your draft to start and was added to, the stakeholders in the room were 3 towers, 3 cops, and a police officer, I'm sorry, and the citizen that ran LAQ. Outside, the consumer affairs were involved, the outside businesses, apartment owners, condo associations, all had input in that ordinance. What's wrong? It was perfect. It is perfect. It's not perfect for the towers because there's nothing in that original ordinance that says, there's nothing in there that's good for the tower. It's all good for the consumer, protect them. If the 27 complaints that were found to be valid, and none of those were found to be egregious or willful, none of them. The permit, that's who that was told to pass that specific legislation, put Mr. O'Neill out of business. When we met with them, I wasn't allowed to go to the meeting, but one of my colleagues were. And the delegate, I won't name her name, did not know what the permit was to do, or what it did. What Arlington's using it for is to add a bunch of stuff that should be Dillon ruled into that permit and ask specific legislation to be passed on each item. This legislature down there last past year did not know that they were putting a permit in to give them, wave a magic wand and put whatever they want into the permit, which is a violation of the Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Section 11 of the Bill of Rights, 100%. Second signature. Gina touched on that earlier. In 2017, a board member decided, well, I want to put the second signature in because I feel like we have to have it. That was his actual words on the stand. Meanwhile, everybody that I work for, all these gentlemen behind me, and were in there. Nobody wanted it except for just him. Well, the board actually passed it, but Libby Garvey was the chair, so she pushed it down to July 1st of that year. So she knew I was going down to Richmond to fight. That fight was in the news. It was on radio. It was the biggest fight that I could ever remember about anything to do with towing. And my name was mentioned through all that shit. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. The end result was 2 bills went, a Senate and a House, Hugo and Marsden. Marsden's bill died in the Senate 2020. Hugo's bill passed the House 82-18. Then it moved on to the Senate. I went and lobbied the senators for about a week. Yeah, it was 1 week. And it came out to be, the vote count was 33-7. So I changed 13 senators' minds. Okay. And with that, Governor McCullough signed the bill. It was a huge threat of the person being left in the parking lot, which my colleague said before. It's a huge safety risk. That's what everybody saw. There's absolutely no reason that it should be put into the code. The contracts we have are it tells us exactly how we work for our client. You have no complaints, no violations of the contract, none. So why do it? Just to put the citizen or the owner at risk to meet each other? A tow truck driver can handle themselves in a parking lot for the most part. What about the little lady with the pen that comes back there? The car's gone. It's a serious, dangerous issue. You got to think it through. You're going to wind up with a assault. You might have somebody killed. I mean, people are hot when they get their cars towed. It gives them time to calm down when they do come to the tow facility and get the car, or pay a drop fee and walk away with no harm behind. That permit that you're trying to pass, I'm the one that passed that legislation, and now you're going to use it against me back in 2012. The legislation that I passed in 2012 was for the out-of-county tower, so that we have a business license. I have a business license in the county. If the county doesn't like what I'm doing, take my business license. There's a due process for that. You go to court, judge, jury, whatever. Permit, just somebody wave a magic wand, say you're out of business. These guys are going to benefit from me being out of business for a day, 30 days. You think your clients are not going to tow? Who's going to do it? And I mean, I'm the only one here in Arlington County. So once I'm gone, it's free for all. The cars will go down to Merrifield or out to Van Dorn Street. But I don't know, you cut me off if you want to, I'll keep talking. But it's bullshit, all of it. And it's not going to be decided. It'll be decided in that room if it does pass, but the fight's not over. This building will fall down in front of me.
I have one comment for you. I heard you talking about,
You should sit back.
I heard you talking about the fees posted on the back window behind the driver. There's a lot of fees need to be listed. There's not enough room. However, each storage lot, I don't know if you're aware of it, the county requires us to have use sign, having all the fees listed, itemized. The second thing is when we give a receipt, we have to itemize all the charges. We can't just put the total on one. Put the tow fee, after hours fees, storage if it's applicable. So that's kind of, and again, then it may block the view of the driver when he turned his head to look behind him toward a vehicle. So I would suggest striking that from the permitting process. As far as taking video, we take 70, 80 pictures sometime of a vehicle. The law said
If there's a damage on your vehicle and I don't have a picture prior to us towing your vehicle, we are responsible. So we make sure we cover all of the track. So I know, redundancy is not bad, but sometimes it's just a little bit too much. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can, for the placard, the current county code requires that all towers who are trespass towing from Arlington County have a placard. The police department supplies the placard. So so the placard goes on, it's the same size of like a taxi cab rate sticker that goes on.
We have no issues at all with that. We have no issues. I think everybody, to keep everybody honest, everybody should be licensed. Everybody should have a Petro license as far as driver concerned. Insurance, we're required to have insurance. Legal or not, we try to have the max we can get from the insurance company, which is getting a little bit impossible. There's only 2 insurance companies in the whole country insured towing companies.
Any other comments?
Sure. I mean,
Right down the road.
my name's Brad. I'm a tower. I don't have a dog in this fight. We don't service Arlington, but I just came today and saw and heard and observed. And I guess a couple things. One, covering up the window, what this gentleman's talking about, that's that. Don't obstruct the view. No one's going to read it. No one can see it. That's just weird. But these fees, right? You're talking about the fees. If you have your Toyota Camry towed from your house, you say, hey, come get this car in my driveway, take it to the dealership, right? Tow truck shows up, you hand him the key, he knows exactly where to go. He takes this car, he takes it 4 miles to the dealership and drops it off. He's going to charge you a lot more than $150. See? So now what's happening is in the middle of the dark, stressful situations, you're hunting for a car, you're looking for a car, you're seeking the violation, you're trying to please your client, right? So you're putting all this time to find the car. Now you have to remove the car safely without damaging it without the keys. That takes skill, that takes equipment, right? It takes time and it's risky. So coming back to the fees, at a bare minimum, like this place is so far behind. Like no one here knows, everyone knows here, we would never come up to Arlington to tow. You can't make any money here, right? You can't support your business here. You're basically a lot of time going in the hole when you tow cars, to be honest with you. But anyway, the state fee, I agree. If we can't go higher in the state, I think that you should mirror the state all the way as much as possible. And to speak to your example of what happens when so-and-so and such, it's 247. Well, then there'll be justice. Because truthfully, man, that's what it takes to do this. So on this side of the table, you guys don't understand what it takes to do what we do. And 135 is no money. 150 is no money. And as far as the second signature goes, that is absolutely ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense in any way, shape, or form. You've already been given the authority to do your work. You've been hired to do the work. You've been vetted to do the work. You have a relationship with the client to do the work. And now you want to annoy those people to come out and sign a ticket to do the work. They already did that. And I don't know this person's name, but she spoke about a safety concern. That is 100% a huge thing. Drop fees. I just learned y'all's drop fees went from $10 to $20. It's absurd. That makes no sense, right? A drop fee is a stressful and dangerous situation 99% of the time. No one ever shows up and catches you in the act of removing their car, hopefully damage free, and says, here's my $10 or here's my $20. It never happens like that. A drop fee should be $100, to be honest with you. But anyway, I don't know. Anything else? How many more minutes do I got?
30 seconds.
I'm going to give you mine.
This is
If you were in the other room, you get a buzzer. So you don't have the buzzer here.
yeah, you got to mirror the state rate at the minimum. And if they do pop up and give a big number, then it's just justice for us on this side because this is dangerous business. It takes a lot. You guys can never understand. Look, we don't have 9 to 5 jobs. This isn't a government job. This isn't a 9 to 5 job. No one in our offices are sitting around playing solitaire. You understand? It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, employing hundreds of people, running thousands of calls on a daily basis for the past, 30 years for all of us? So it'd be mind blowing for any of you to come by the office, come hang out, get in a tow truck, see what it takes, and you'd be like, you're not getting enough money. All right, that's all I got. Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
All right.
For the man, he does 27,000 tows in Fairfax County. And the reason why he didn't come to Arlington is like you said, lose money.
Yeah, it's not enough money, man. And the second stringer is just dangerous and it's wrong and it's unnecessary. It's redundant. That's it.
Well, anyone else want to do, we want to go online?
Oh. Matt.
Matt, do you have anything you want to share?
Real quick, I just have a quick prepared statement, like 2 sentences. And first of all, I'm very sympathetic to all the towers in the room. I feel you guys. Like, you got a really hard job. You're never popular. So thanks for the work you do, kind of leveling the tripod between the drivers, the tow industry, and the businesses themselves. My only comment, or my prepared statement here, is that, like, advanced towing dominates this industry in Arlington, and they have a demonstrated and recorded record of intimidation, lying to its victims, and violating the county code. I think all the legitimate parties in the room want just a balanced field between the drivers, the businesses, and the tow industry. The tow truck drivers should be fairly compensated. The businesses should be able to protect their property, and the drivers should expect a fair and reasonable engagement if they screw up and they park in the wrong place. So again, I encourage the county to focus specifically on enforcement of the code, because advanced towing for years have demonstrated that they will just lie to their victims and damage vehicles. So I think you got one bad apple in the bunch that creates a lot of animosity from the drivers in that threefold engagement. And I think, once, the monopolies in general are generally discouraged for this reason, is that when one company dominates an industry, it maintains that dominance through illicit practices. So I encourage the rest of you towers in the room to continue to fight the good fight and do the the whole capitalism thing and provide a better service. I know it's a twisted capitalistic thing where they're not your customers, but you also need to provide the service. And I'll just, as a final point out that the man who just stormed out of the room is the man who was commandeering county property recently. There was an alleyway that he just expanded his lot and built a fence around the county alleyway so that he could store more vehicles there. So he was, in my mind, unjustly, using county property for his own business. So I encourage the rest of you towers to keep up the good fight and deliver the best value to the customers that you can, even when they're not in the best frame of mind. So that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. All right.
Can I make one more comment? If I may.
I'll take Tim's 3 minutes
I'm
too.
gonna give him my 3 minutes.
If we were in the big room, I'd have to say no, but we can do one, yeah.
I saw you talk about distance from Arlington County. If you change that to less than it is right now, you're gonna be empowered one towing company, the one in Arlington. Just keep that in mind.
I think we did table that.
I think we voted on it.
Yeah, we voted.
To keep the 3.25. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did make the change.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I give it to Brad?
I'll use one of them. How about that? It's
No.
1 minute, 35 seconds.
I think we need to, we still have business to do. That's the problem. I think we've accomplished a lot tonight, and I think we've actually heard.
I wanted to clarify. I think there's a miscommunication. You're speaking about the 3.25 tow storage lot current, and that if it was removed, it would allow more.
Lesser
You want it lesser?
distance, it's gonna benefit one towing company.
Right.
And it's gonna hurt the county.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
That's all
That
that
hasn't changed. Then nothing's
Yeah,
changed.
okay, yeah.
It's still 3.25 miles.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you keep it to less than a minute, please?
He's right. If you make the distance smaller, you're going to empower one person. And if you don't make it bigger, this is what you're going to have forever, right? Because there will no one be here to come compete, right? It's just not going to be that way. And the other thing is back to the whole fee thing. Part of the, I don't want to say problem in society, but everybody's got a video camera, right? Everybody's got a camera, everybody's documenting it, everything's, it's all up there, right? So how that plays into this whole situation is damages, right? Damages of the cars. You tow these cars, just like a busy dishwasher in a busy restaurant. You wash enough dishes, you're going to break a dish, right? So we all damage cars. It's the nature of the beast. It has to happen. Unfortunately, it happens. It's how you deal with it, how you rectify that situation as quickly as possible. What I'm getting at is the damage claims are all day, every day. For the past, 5, 6 years, it's just increased like this because everybody has a camera. No one saw that. What I'm getting at is the amount of time, effort, resources to deal with all of the damage claims. Not only just the ones you fix, not the rental car, not the auto body shop, not any of that, just even the frivolous ones to get that situation to go to bed is staggering how much it costs to do that. And everybody has a camera. So it's damage claim, damage claim, damage claim. You got to make more money to do a good business. In order to run a business properly and give the community what they deserve, you have to make more money to service all the needs. Thank you. That's it.
All right, we're going to move into the last part of this meeting, and we need to go through the recommendations in the ordinance, and three of us need to. We'll talk as we need to. If we can just say thumbs up, we will say thumbs up. So I'm just going to go page by page. Page 1, there's no change. Page 2, there's a new definition, smart payment, thumbs up. Recommend. Page 3, no change.
Are you making official? Or are you just kind of going through?
No, we're making this official if we're going to recommend to.
Okay, will you actually motion?
We'll do okay,
Let the vote on it.
So.
Do you want to,
What's the end?
do we want to take the vote for the admin stuff? And then vote on the admin stuff and then vote separately for the second signature since that's.
So the admin stuff, okay, what do we?
The admin stuff would be smart payment definition. The lettering on the truck. It makes it so that it's almost every company does it properly. It's just you can't hide the lettering.
Why don't we? I still want to go page by page, and then after we've accumulated, we'll when we get to the second signature, we'll skip that, and then so maybe we can get a blanket on everything except second signature. Okay. So the motion is smart. I'm going to just say the motion is to approve the changes on page 14.3.2, and I'll just go one by one. Okay. So the motion is to approve the change on page 14.3. I'm just going to go page 2. And the change on on page 5, which is section 14.3-5.9 and 10 and 12 and 13. The change on page 6. Change on page 7. Change on page 8.
Both E and
The
A.
2 changes on page 8. The 2 changes on page 9.
the change on page 10. And then the changes related to the cross out of or his designee on page 11. And page 12. Gonna skip, including the 2 additional changes on page 12. A demonstrated pattern of non-compliance with this chapter. Continuing on page 13, or his designee. And that covers those changes. That is the motion. A motion to approve those changes I just went through.
Second.
That's a lot. That nothing to do with the second signature.
Is it okay?
No.
Is it okay if I write? Yeah. Is it okay if I write? The change, we already did the other 2 with the and with the TTAB appeals. So is it okay if I write this motion to recommend the draft proposed language except for section, the second signature section, which is 14.3-5, numbers 4 and 5.
That would have been a much better way to do it.
We had to go through each one. I mean, it's good to be thorough. No, for sure.
That's the motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I got one coming.
Okay, so
Okay, motion second approved. Okay.
now we have one more recommendation we're going to review. This is on page 4.
I'd like to make a motion to strike the language for second signature.
So would this just be striking that? What about what was there beforehand?
So-
To resurrect what was there beforehand?
Correct. It would be go back to what was there. Truck driver and towing and recovery operator performing the tow shall not require written authorization if a written contract between the towing and recovery operator and the owner of the property or his agent is in place. So basically reverting back to what it was prior.
So the motion is to
Remove the proposed changes.
move the proposed changes, go back to the original language.
14.3-5, numbers 4
Right.
and 5.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they go together. So,
4 and 5, yeah. So we restore the language under 5.
right.
Okay, so the 5 would be restored.
And I second that for safety issues.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that we will not send that recommendation to the. All right, I will say, before we adjourn, this was really, this is the best meeting we've had. I mean, we made some really good progress. All the information, you all shared, you guys are amazing. I mean, just helping me learn about your business. I think it's all about goodwill. I mean, goodwill is what. And I'm just thankful for both of you and your expertise. So,
Same here, thank you.
yeah.
But I do have one more thing I want to bring up, and it'll be really quick.
Okay.
Booting, boots. We do the Pentagon, and we do a bunch of mosque in the area. What page is the booting one? Is this?
Wait, we have barnacles?
It is.
It's immobilizations, what I think you call it. But if I read it correctly, I think it says $10.
Yeah, I believe that's
I just want to let you know what.
25.
Yeah, well, the
Is that
state,
the one that increased?
it
No,
has
that
been
was dropped.
increased since 1985. That's another one.
That was a good year.
Is that a?
Yeah, not for us.
Definitely.
That's the drug.
I don't know what pages I looked and I couldn't.
Yeah, immobilization. I remember we did it last 2021.
There been a change to that? Are we changing it or?
I want to make an motion because $10, even the $50.
But you're right, 10.
Yeah, we're at 10 and that's just unreasonable.
It is.
14,
It's under fees, yeah, 14.3-9 fees under F. The fee for removal of any device used to immobilize a trespassing vehicle not exceed $10.
what that is, you've seen boots before, they're using them everywhere now.
Yeah.
We have these things called barnacles that we stick on the windshields of tractor trailers. It sucks on the windshield, you can't get it off. The people call us, we have a code, we can release them.
Uh-huh.
We use for the Pentagon. We boot colonels all day long. We walk the train. Through the police are with us. Arlington County, we're starting to do more because simple fact is, a lot of the places that want you to tow, they want the car off the property, but a lot of them want people to learn a lesson and maybe they'll stop. So we put boots on, like when they're having the Ramadan for the mosque and all that, we do 50, 100 boots. Well, I charge, I'll be honest with you, $95 plus $20 fuel charge. And, a couple officers said something, I said, just take it to court because it can't be $10.
Right.
And then there's no judge. So I'd like to put a code in, which is already in there, to change it to dollars, which is still very cheap. They're charging in Baltimore $285. We're charging in Ocean City $285. And it's better for the public. You don't have to take a Metro to get your car. You don't have to take an Uber to get your car. You don't have to worry your car damaged because it's a boot on it.
So how do you get it removed?
We come out and remove it.
So if I find myself booted, there's a number or the tow that's up on the signage, it's just called.
That's the sign or it's on our boots.
Okay.
So $10, you can buy a Big Mac for $10. So the Pentagon's done a study. We've done the Pentagon for 14 years. We charge $115 is what we charge them.
I prefer the boot.
Well, it's an option. It's an option. Right. It's an option.
It should be the same
Yeah.
fee.
And I think it's still,
In the state code anymore?
it's in the state code. The state, Fairfax County has it at 95. The state code still has it at 75. Well, state code has it, you can charge 25 or 75, 50 for removal. So you can charge whatever you want to put it on, but only 50 to remove it. And I haven't used that loophole because it's just not right. So I'd rather just have a flat fee to start and then we can take,
I'm just curious. I mean, would you actually end up using that more often than towing? I mean, why not? Well, I see why you wouldn't do it now.
different properties, different regulations.
Oh, okay, so
The guy at the 7-Eleven, put the boot on real quick. Because a lot of times, if you're in there buying a hot dog, tow truck driver just doesn't have time. You can put that boot on in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's going to deter them. And it's an option for some of these dry cleaners, that park there at night, sub shops. And it's an option. Banks, we do a lot of banks and people have money in the bank. They'd rather boot them than get towed.
So, I mean, my question is, why is the boot not being, do most of these private properties allow the boot? Or is it, what would you say, like?
They want them towed because they want parking for their customers.
Oh, okay.
But the dry cleaners, the banks, they don't want to make their
Is that in
customers.
your tend to be in your contracts?
Like,
What the client?
we haven't done it because I can't do it for $10. It will be if we get funding for it.
$10 is worth.
It's not worth it. Come on, $95 plus the $20 fuel charge.
How much does the boot cost?
The barnacles are $1,400. Boots that we put on are about $675.
I mean, so you invest, you have some in your.
We got $60,000 worth of boots. We have a van that we go around the Pentagon. We have $60,000 worth of boots and barnacles in it.
Yeah.
So your proposal is to raise the $10 immobilization fee to $95.
$95 plus the $20 fuel charge.
Sure.
But that's, I mean, it sounds good. It just seems like.
I'll put it in. Again, I'm not an attorney, just they will tell me yes or no, but I'm in the code.
This is one where
It's in Fairfax.
I got
Matt
trust.
supports it on,
Yeah.
Ali said he absolutely supports.
Good.
Good idea.
Thanks, Matt.
Why don't we, so the motion is to raise the $10 immobilization fee under 14.3-9, section F, from $10 to $95.
plus the $20 fuel charge.
Isn't that already?
I think that's separate. That should be already like, that should be, I don't.
Automatic fee for you guys?
Well, it's, I don't, well, yeah, I guess it is because
Yeah.
it has to do with,
July,
yeah,
right?
so yeah, I believe so, yes.
If you guys are driving out there,
Right.
then, yes, it's already,
Back and forth twice.
yeah. So,
Oh.
Okay.
Not done twice.
yeah,
Okay, I'm reading that the in lieu of towing fee shall not exceed $25. Is there another place that I'm missing? And do you want to make a contingency on, the $95, but if the county attorney says this is the max, do you want to make it revert to whatever you're allowed to do?
I don't
We don't have
think,
to, what do
the
you want?
immobilization is not a drop fee.
Right, no, it's the in lieu of towing. That's what it's
I
saying.
don't think, no, I think the immobilization is a separate section. The in lieu of towing is if my car's getting towed.
Right.
And.
The drop fee, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a drop fee,
Yeah.
it's separate.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So the second for the motion would be, the motion would be to change $10 immobilization fee from $10 to $95 through 14.3-9 subsection F.
I just want a few more questions though. Is it, you're obviously not gonna do booting. Booting, is that the right term? You're not gonna do it because $10 is ridiculous.
Right.
Are you gonna start
Most
working
definitely.
with your contract? Are your contract, you're gonna now go to your clients and just say, I'm gonna start booting instead of towing?
We already have had a bunch of clients call us on it. We told them we're not doing it for $10. We're not doing it for $25. It would be worth our while to continue to have independent guy. We do it some in Fairfax. We do some in Alexandria, but it definitely.
So how, if I get booted, I'm gonna call, you're gonna come with payment, your payment device, and I just have a credit card or whatever.
We have portable machines where you can pay over the phones at the office and we come out and we release.
And I guess the advantage to that would be for the consumer would be there's no damage to the vehicle, no potential damage to the vehicle like you could potentially do with a tow.
You don't have to Uber, you don't have to call the family member to come get them, to take them to the tow lot.
Question.
Are there any other additional fees like the weekend fee, the late night charges, county fuel charges? I know you made 2 trips, but do the other fees apply or are we just talking flat rate 95?
Flat 95 with the $20 fuel charge. I think that's a good start, and then we can revisit it next year. Once it's.
Just so the receipt doesn't get stacked
Right.
with.
And the code does say even when it comes to holiday nights, weekends, no more than 2 of those 3 charges can be applied. You guys, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's for storage, and we're not storing the vehicle, so.
Yeah. I think that's separate. I think the immobilization.
95 and 20.
So my only other concern is that it make, and I know we're trying, one of the reasons we're doing all this is to get rid of predatory towing. Does it make predatory towing easier?
Mixed. No, I mean, I would think.
So someone who wants to be a bad actor, can they be an even worse actor? Because now they can put those things on in a second as opposed to.
In your situation, would you rather get booted or towed?
Well, but I thought I was being spied on, so I don't like being spied on.
But that could happen at any time.
I think.
I'm a little confused by that.
I mean, if you're breaking the rules, sir, you're breaking the rules. I don't like radar.
I didn't.
Yeah, radar's entrapment too, but they're doing the job.
To this day, though, I don't think I broke any rules. So I felt like because I actually caught the tower, and I know dropping isn't safe, but in theory, my car should have been dropped and I should pay $20. And the funny thing is, I stuck around because I was livid. The next guy, another guy was about to be towed, and I intervened and said, "Hey, drop his car," and he did drop it. So that's
I know nobody likes to be.
The only thing you're right. I mean, if someone's breaking the rule, I would love a 5-minute grace period, because I know one story of a woman who was pregnant and just needed, she needed to, she broke the law, but man, you know what, she was pregnant and she felt she needed to break the law in that situation.
I agree. We've towed cancer patients. We've given the car back. Right?
Yeah,
Military, my people better
Yeah.
never charge a military person,
yeah,
especially active military.
yeah,
And that's just common sense and goodwill. I
Yeah.
agree with you there.
yeah.
So I think to address your concerns with the predatory, I think this will actually, in my opinion, and it's just Jim Toomey's opinion, I think it's actually going to reduce it. And here's why. The predatory towing happens when the car is being towed and they can move the car, they can, when they take the pictures of it, it might not be a clear picture. The tow of that car is based on the parking spot that it was in prior to the tow. With a immobilization device, the car's never moving. So it's very easy for the citizen to be able to say, I was parked in the right spot. You put the barnacle on the wrong car by taking a photograph, and it can show it very easy because the car's never moving in the right spot. So I think that
Go either way, right?
will help reduce the number of complaints as to, I parked here, and the tow company says, no, they parked here, and there's this back and forth because the car's never moving. It's staying in that spot. So it's in that spot illegally or not where it's approved to be. So I think that might cut down on those type of complaints. So.
They still photograph? Al, do y'all still
Yes,
photograph?
we still take 4 photographs.
So it would be clear, I guess the other thing would be, if you use this method, is it clear that all the rules, like photographing, apply to this? Is it clear in the ordinance that all the rules apply to that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
The
it was,
mobilization goes on. over.
okay,
yeah, I think it was already included in all that stuff. I just
Okay.
don't think we ever ran into it because it is not. For the police department side, we don't get complaints on it because I don't think they're using
Okay.
it. Like, if you're using it at the Pentagon, that
Yeah.
doesn't come to us.
Yeah.
That doesn't come to the county. That goes to the Pentagon. That's a different
It's
jurisdiction.
federal.
So it's federal.
So
So
does the county still boot cars? I remember Arlington County.
There's 2 of them booted out today.
Tickets, yeah.
Right.
We have a different one.
So back in the day, when y'all booted the cars in Arlington, back in the day, y'all would come out, undo the boot. If not, then guess what? We showed up, we towed the car away.
Yeah.
I
We're not
got
getting your
moved
taxes.
outside, so I had to pay my $400.
Yeah, so-
No mercy.
No mercy.
so what's the language we're saying?
So the motion language would be to modify the fee for the removal of any device used to immobilize a trespassing vehicle shall not exceed $95.
The motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, motion passes. All right, now. I won't say my final comments. I already said them. Y'all, thanks for staying late. This is what's our schedule now? Just to clarify the next steps, these will be, all our recommendations will go to the county board and we expect to see them. But there will be this advertisement that comes out before, well, the county board will then approve what we've done and then the advertisement.
What you have recommended
Mhm.
goes without change into the request to advertise. So
Okay.
we'll say, county board will be considering changes to this ordinance.
Okay,
And it'll say, the trespass towing advisory board met on these days, because you, since June or July, like you said, had changes. Say, here are the changes, here's where they met, here's what is under consideration. And it'll have in each section that's up for consideration, a summary of the recommended changes. It'll say TTAB recommends or does not recommend, depending upon your vote, what the changes are. That is the request to advertise. And then at the board meeting, they will essentially take up a motion that says, it'll start with a motion to adopt changes that are recommended by TTAB. That's generally what happens is, right? First motion is what is recommended by the commission to the board, and then they make changes there.
November, what's the date?
23rd?
23rd, I think. Yeah.
Thank
that
you.
right?
November 16th, hold on, it's usually the second.
It's usually the second.
I was 7th, 9th.
I'm like not.
Hold on.
So for next steps for us,
It is
do we want to schedule, we're gonna have to schedule a meeting in
November
January. And that's gonna be the transfer meeting, because the chairman spot will drop over to the towers.
Oh, okay.
January. Do we want to have a meeting prior to January? Or are we good with letting the county board do its thing and then us meeting in January for our annual switching of the chairs?
I mean, whatever, if you guys, for anything that's gonna go on, for me, I'm neutral on this, but for anything that goes on the October request to advertise and then for adoption in November, that all has to end tonight. If you want to meet again, then we can, whenever you meet again, we could put on.
Voting for officers, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying, he's saying, do you want to meet again before the end of the year? So saying if you guys have any unfinished business, then another meeting you could do, and anything from that meeting can go to the next board meeting.
I think as of now, we don't. I guess it depends on what happens in November if we have to call emergency.
I am gonna just say to you all, the one thing that I feel like you're probably still not happy with is this page 11. Number 8, a copy of the contracts and all that. I think you really need to pay attention to the whole responding to this advertisement and being real clear if you don't like it, and it's, you feel that there's proprietary information, trade secrets, all those things, make a strong argument against, focus your energy on that and make a really strong statement that this is just excessive.
We should all be at the Monday, Tuesday meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
And we can have a coordinated voice and say, we just don't, we get we get all this, but this is the one thing that really infringes on our business and just be strong in
You have
that.
a lot of pushback from property managers. They don't want their name out.
Yeah.
They don't want their phone number out.
Have some examples where you have clients, say, I have this.
We do need to have the Army there when it's.
Yeah, be strong on that, so.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Let me know when there's something.
I'm gonna be in touch.
You have a good
Oh,
night.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll,
Thank you again.
first thing tomorrow when I get back in.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you, Sharon.
No.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Matt.
Good,
Are
thanks,
you, David, are you adjourning? Are you adjourning?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Are you adjourning?
Oh, wait, Matt,
Matt.
question.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I didn't know, I just didn't hear. So.
Matt, you still there? I see you. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. No further comments. I support Al and the idea of having an alternative to towing, including the barnacle thing. So that was the only comment a couple of minutes ago. But there are more than one ways to protect private industries, parking lots, and barnacles are one of them. So that was it. Thanks all. I appreciate your time.
Okay, I'm going to.
All right,
end
you
the
two guys, take care. Be safe, okay? Take care.
What's your?
That was really important. I didn't, yeah, I'm glad, I think.
There's a method.
Made a lot,
That was-
again, it's
We were, I know,
represent.
but,
Yeah, that could be different.
yeah, I know.
That's a voice.
It was a gesture.
Beyond the towers.
Yeah, what we kind of help out. We're kind of curious to the conversation is of the October.
The coordinated effort.
TTA.
So,
Yeah.
it was, I could just see
That was
writing on the wall.
I mean, it's
the hang up
Yeah.
across here.
just reverting to what the
Second
current law is. I don't see the.
In theory,
So it is,
I-
we're just gonna mod.
in theory, I really do like
Hey, this is totally separate.
but I can just see the hang up with it. And I would rather get everything
Yeah.
else back.
Yeah, best of luck.
Okay, yeah,
That was basically.
yeah, I did,
I didn't mean to like.
but yeah,
It was
great to meet you.
It was
John,
a.
right?
John,
okay.
There's too much good.
How long you been?
Yeah.
Backwards.
That little one, give him
Over
that.
2 years.
Okay.
So it's like policy / consultant.
Yeah.
But I've been in
That's my
Arlington
favorite
since
thing.
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you work in a similar venue before?
Yeah, I worked in state and local public policy, so it kind of was an easy transition. So I'm kind of the Chambers policy point person, whether it's something like power,
Before, right?
access, housing, infrastructure. So I usually go to most of the county board.
Okay.
there are Saturdays at 9 a.m. So many members that'll have different stuff that come.
But I just.
Whether it's like,
Right.
we have like non-profit members, that'll have like, permanent stuff, like we have a member, Melwood,